Hey, it's me, MLB. This is chapter 67 of Touched. This one is titled A New Chapter. You let out a little squeak of excitement and looked at Hawks, your eyes brimming with tears. It's done, baby, he whispered back happily. You broke down in tears, sobbing with excitement as Hawks wrapped his arms around you. The president was cuffed and marched from the front of the courtroom. You'll pay for this, she hissed to a very smug-looking Hawks as she passed him. Okay, sweetheart, he replied cheekily, flicking her a sneaky middle finger as she passed. Swiftly she was escorted out of the court doors and to a waiting police car. We're free, baby, Hawks said lowly as he smiled at you. Tears of happiness gushed down your cheeks as you turned and buried your face into his chest. He grabbed you in a hug and squeezed you tight. The saga was over. Another week went by and Hawks got all the paperwork changed. You no longer had to use your alias name, so everything was reverted to how it was before. Your registration was even changed to lexical quirk user instead of quirkless. Hawks contacted everybody on the silent registry and let them know that they were now free. They no longer had to kneel to the wishes of the government and couldn't be forced to use their quirks against their will. Obviously, they couldn't wield their quirk haphazardly and had to comply with the normal quirk regulations, but apart from that, they would never again be forced to compromise and work in compromised situations. I'm home, baby, Hawks called out as he entered the house that afternoon. Keigo, you called happily from the spare room that was going to be the baby room, poking your head out the door before stepping out. Come and see what I've done. He happily walked towards you and scooped you up in his arms, kissing you tenderly before stepping into the room. Wow, this looks amazing, he said proudly as he looked around. It's a nice looking cot. It was half price, you said excitedly. Baby stuff is so damn expensive. Don't you worry about the cost. You just get whatever you need for our little one and you let Daddy cover it, he said, his lips meeting yours hungrily. Speaking of Daddy, he said lowly as his lips trailed down your jawline. Daddy wants a bit of attention. Hawks, you squeaked as he turned you up against the wall and pinned you there, his hands firmly roaming your sides as he continued to kiss and nibble your neck. Wait, Brian and Anthony are... Just then there was a rap tap tap on the front door that could only be Brian, and you tried to push Hawks off. We're busy, Hawks called over his shoulder, keeping you pinned to the wall. No, we're not, you yelled with a laugh as you struggled to get out of Hawks' arms, running for the front door while Hawks chased you, smacking your ass lightly as you ran. Come back later, Hawks yelled cheekily as you both reached the door out of breath. Oh? Brian leered as you yanked the door open, looking suspiciously dishevelled. Girl, if you're going to have a bit of afternoon delight, don't invite your Uncle Bri and boo-boo baby Anthony over, he said as he popped his hip out and pouted. Unless you want live commentary. No thanks, kind offer but hard pass, Hawk said quickly with a forced smile. I didn't get a proper introduction. I'm Uncle Anthony, your uncle pouted in his deep voice as he stood slightly behind your gay showstopper, upset that he didn't get a proper introduction. No, please, come in. I want to show you something, you said quickly, stepping back and pushing Hawks back with your body as you did so. Hawks smiled to himself as you backed him up. The first time she met them, she hid under my wing. Look at her now, he thought as he watched you take the lead and walk Anthony and Brian to the baby's room. He watched as you walk in and excitedly looked at Brian and Anthony to see their reaction. It only took a second for Brian to catch on when he saw the cot set up and a few other baby items scattered in the room, and he screamed like he'd just won the lottery. What? Uncle Anthony said in his deep voice, looking around the room in confusion while Brian screamed and danced and hugged you as you giggled with excitement. When are you due, Queen? Oh my God, I'm so excited. Brian wailed, doing a mixture of fanning himself and jazz hands. I need to dance a blessing into this room. Hold up, let me pull out Riri. You and Uncle Anthony and Hawks watched as Brian jumped around the room mumbling the lyrics to Shine Bright Like a Diamond. Wait, are you pregnant? Uncle Anthony gasped suddenly. What? Seriously, did you only just... Boo-boo, honey, really? I'm sorry, okay, it only just hit me now. That's why there's a baby bed in here, Uncle Anthony said as he gestured to the cot. You and Hawks burst out laughing. Oh, baby, come here, Brian said sympathetically when he saw the embarrassed and dejected look on Anthony's face, flitting over to him to give his boyfriend a hug. You all chatted excitedly as Brian gave opinions on the feng shui of the room and how to invite positive energy into the crib. It needs To be against the wall, honey. This is due north. North represents quietness of the mind, Brian said knowingly as he closed his eyes and did a namaste. Brian, it's a baby. It already has quietness of mind, Uncle Anthony said from beside Hawks. Hush, boo-boo. My little baby's going to have the best, and I mean from day one, Brian said as he sashayed over to the empty cupboard and opened it. Perfect amount of room for all the clothes I'm going to buy my baby. Brian, this isn't your baby, Uncle Anthony said with a heavy sigh. Brian gasped dramatically as he quickly raved over and placed his hands on your still flat stomach, glaring at his boyfriend. You're going to offend the child, he said, utterly appalled at Uncle Anthony's words. The audacity! Uncle Anthony clicked his tongue and rolled his eyes at his boyfriend's weirdness. Brian then whispered words of adoration to your stomach while claiming that Uncle Anthony was a big meanie. If the baby cries in your arms, it means that he heard what you said, boo-boo, and that's on you, period, Brian said as he flicked his arm up and strutted out of the room. Anthony looked at you and you gave him a sympathetic smile. It's okay, Uncle Anthony, we still love you. The next day you started back at work again and had to explain to Mr. Bofer about all the things that had happened recently, also adding in that you were pregnant and had been experiencing morning sickness. He was most sympathetic to your quirk situation and excited for your pregnancy, and he was happy that he had you back at his library. You started working again immediately as Yin, free to be you and not have to worry about hiding your identity anymore. Back at work, Hawks was trying to track down Darby, Toya, as he had heard that the Ravenet had left the League of Villains. Not surprisingly, Darby knew how to keep a low profile and had seemingly just vanished into thin air, but Hawks had a feeling he was still around somewhere. Your mum and Ray were making wonderful progress in their mental health recovery. Ray had mentioned to your mum that she had felt a peace in her heart ever since that day that Hawks had come to visit her. Unfortunately, the events of re-meeting her son Toya had been erased from her memory, but the happiness still remained. And although Endeavour and Ray were effectively divorced, he had apparently been in a few times to see her, but she had been with your mum each time. He had left her favourite flower as a gift, which he thought was very nice. And there ends chapter 67. Stay tuned for chapter 68.